Hello and welcome to this edition of Trending Tickers brought to you by Bootleg Macro. Today we're going to be looking at Novax. This had a phenomenal day on April the 11th, 2023. Looking at the weekly chart though, what we can see essentially is it followed the same COVID market everything else did. It was up off the lows of COVID. It essentially went sideways for all of 2021. 2022, it began the descent. We have now potentially a move upwards into a bull market. We are not sure. We've been fooled once. We've been fooled twice. We've been fooled 3 times. Will we be fooled 4 times, boys and girls? That's the question. Now let's look at the daily chart. The daily chart, I will be honest, looks pretty nice. It looks like a solid base here around $6, at least as a solid bottom. I mean, we didn't get anything even remotely close to that in any previous moves. It doesn't really base. We did have this one here, and then it did collapse. That would be concerning if you are long, especially substantially at this moment. Let's look at the daily sentiment indicator here. This is a breakdown of all of the bullish or bearish price action inside of the specific stock. The one thing about this indicator, it generally cannot go above 60%. It generally cannot go below 40%. It likes to stay around 50% to keep it in equilibrium. That's how the market works. If you go too high, you will come back. If you go too low, you will come back. It's mean reversion, as you can see through what looks like just rolling hills of sentiment here. So being already up at 55%, that's not necessarily too high to make me think that we'd be falling back, but it is pretty high to make me think that there may be a healthy pullback or at least a slower rate of change of the actual move. We're probably not going to be up 13% again unless things just go nuts with inflation data. Looking at it on the weekly here, we can see it's essentially below 50%, but the green is above the moving average. It's above 45% right now for bullishness. You could definitely get back to 50, so that's positive from the bull side. Let's look here at the volume. The volume on the weekly essentially has been consistent. The only thing we saw was sometime in 2020 when we got a big push of volume, but since then it's essentially been under 50 million. We can see here that we did very recently at the end or the middle of December of 2022, we got a big push at 91 million shares traded. That was obviously or could be a bottom. We can see those days here directly on the daily chart of volume 2 big days back to back on the 15th and 16th. I can't say that that's capitulation, but it does look like a really beneficial look for volume relative to what price has been doing ever since. So now we look at the volatility to price correlation. The red is volatility, the blue is the price correlation. Currently, we see that we have come down potentially to a low. This is a zero bounded indicator, so you can't go below 0. You could get down to something like 0.783, maybe even lower, but you can't go below 0. So eventually what we'll see is a rebound in volatility, and it will start to move up similar to what we've seen here with these nice looking hills that generally will just glide on down. But we're probably going to get an explosion up, and with correlation being negative, an explosion up would actually be negative for price. The one thing we'd like to see is if the correlation starts to rise while volatility is rising, because we definitely know that volatility is going to rise for at least probably 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even longer. What we want to watch is that correlation. Let's look at the weekly volatility here. We have a very similar look, at least from recently. This is trending down and has been trending down since April of 2022. The one thing that we do see is that correlation is currently positive while volatility is trending down. That's not a great look. We'd want to see correlation probably roll over or volatility break out while correlation is still high. But that really you're going to need at least a month or so to get an idea of what's going to happen there. Since volatility has been falling, the range is going to get smaller here on this non-sentiment trade range on the weekly. It looks like we could probably go as high as 23.68, or we could go as low as 40 cents. I mean, that's quite the range, to be honest with you, on the weekly. On the daily, we can see that we had a range at the bottom of 464. It appears to be above the range now at 904. Not quite sure exactly what the range is, but we're above it. So you'll probably expect a little bit of mean reversion, because generally when things hit the top of the range, they'll try to go back to the bottom of the range. Or if they're bouncing off the bottom of the range, they try to at least get back to the middle of the range. So you're probably going to expect at least something back into this level here, which between that, you're probably looking at 550 maybe. I mean, good luck. Tell me what you think. Are you long? Are you short? Put a comment and a like below. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.